The more that Bernie Sanders rises, the more, and I see this very much now happening already among my activist Democratic friends, the more people are getting scared about a Bernie Sanders candidacy for two reasons. First, because they think he'll lose, and second, they think if he wins, he'll implement the kinds of policies that I outlined a few minutes ago, which are so far away from the center of the Democratic Party. So there's a lot of activity around trying to, quote, stop Bernie, although it isn't called by that just yet. And that's and Mike Bloomberg could well play a role in that as an alternative to Bernie Sanders. But as you also point out, for that to happen, Biden has to, in effect, not do as well as people expect, whether it's second, third, or fourth. Biden has to weaken in the course of these first four early primaries. If Biden wins Iowa and then New Hampshire, let's say, and he's obviously strong in Nevada, strong in South Carolina, it may well be game over.
Well, thanks for the honesty, Steve Ratner. If you guys don't know who that guy is, he's a private equity Democratic mega donor who, also served in the Obama administration as the car czar and under the awful Tim Geithner and Larry Summers, who represent everything that the progressives despise about the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party. Now he's a de facto surrogate for lifelong Republican and now Democratic presidential candidate Mike Bloomberg. And there he is, admitting that his activist friends, which means fellow Democratic mega donors, are conspiring against Bernie Sanders behind the scenes. And he even admits that Bloomberg's campaign in itself is a part of the sabotage.
Mike Bloomberg is not going to change the fate of Joe Biden. Joe Biden is going to change the fate of Joe Biden. Joe Biden is either going to win Iowa, New Hampshire, or do really, really well in those two and have the momentum going in to the two states where he's stronger and then into Super Tuesday, which, as you know, is only 3 days after South Carolina, or he's not going to do well there, and in which case there needs to be a viable centrist alternative to try to stop Bernie Sanders. Over 30% of the delegates are going to be selected on Super Tuesday, and if we Democrats don't have a viable centrist candidate going into that, then the Sanders train could become unstoppable, and that is the theory of the case.
Wow, they are panicking. He's literally saying it right there. Bloomberg is not in the race to win by democratic means, democracy. Who believes in that, right? He's in it as a spoiler for Bernie Sanders, the broker convention. And this wealthy Wall Street donor, Steve Ratner, thinks he can be this behind-the-scenes kingpin who thinks, he's still an actual czar in the United States and wants to subvert democracy if Biden's not the nominee. He's helping Bloomberg do just that. I mean, listen to this AP article about Bloomberg that just came out. Bloomberg is running, but he's on his own track, essentially creating a parallel race to the nomination with no precedent. While his competitors are hunkered down in the 4 states with the earliest primaries, Bloomberg is almost everywhere else. He staked his hopes on states like Texas, California, and Arkansas that vote on March 3rd, aiming to disrupt the Democratic primary right around the time it's typically settling on a frontrunner. Or should Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, a self-described Democratic socialist, be the frontrunner, Bloomberg could be a backstop to Democrats still looking for a moderate choice. I've been kind of pounding this drum for a while. I'm telling you guys, this Bloomberg thing is really, really dangerous. Bernie Sanders' path to the nomination, the Democratic nomination, is still really hard, even though his path to the presidency, if he is the nominee, would be a lot easier. His entire strategy is basically getting non-traditional voters to come out in millions. And that works better in a general election because they're not registered Democrats. They're not voting in the Democratic primary, people who were traditionally disaffected by the process. It's how you win general elections, though. Obama was sort of like that. He was a hybrid of both, hope and change, hope and change. But in terms of Democratic primary voters, there are a lot of risk-averse Democrats who do not want to see Bernie Sanders be the nominee, and that's why Biden is still polling so hard, and Bloomberg would be an alternative for them. So this is very terrifying, and we have to be on high alert for it. But at least they're saying it out in the open now.